Okay, here we go. It's the Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario. OakRidgeFord.com. It is Monday, April 22nd, 2024. The Maple Leafs are on the board in the Stanley Cup playoffs. A 3-2 win over the Boston Bruins to even their first-round series at 1 win apiece. Game 3 in Toronto on Wednesday. We're excited for it. In the meantime, let's talk a little bit about Game 2 in Boston. Austin Matthews, it was his show. 1 goal, 2 assists. That the game decider, essentially. A little bit of a break with a nice little deke on Allmark. Just absolutely phenomenal. He took over the game, the best scorer in the league, did what he had to do tonight to help the Leafs even the series. Max Domi chipping in. Tyler Bertuzzi was great. Ilya Samsonov, a little bit of redemption after a Game 1 dud. Mike, we're going back to the T-dot, tied at 1. Could be a lot worse, my friend. Good evening.
Well, as I said after the game on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it, they got off the mat. It was a terrible Game 1. I don't think many things went right in Game 1. Game 2, a stupid penalty by Jake McCabe, a bad penalty kill, a Morgan Geekie power play goal that should have never occurred. They got the equalizer. I think it was 14 seconds later by Domi, who had an excellent game. But I give them credit because the goal that Pasternak scored with a few seconds left to go in the first period was a gut punch, the type of goal that usually teams have trouble coming back from. And really, they dominated the second and third period after that goal. It was a bad face-off by Tavares, a missed assignment by Simone Benoit. Some people would blame Marner on that one, but nobody expected that puck to be there and get there after the feed. I think it was Zacha that fed Pasternak. Down 2-1, and they were probably, I would say, slightly better than the Bruins were in the first period. And, to their dismay, they're down 2-1, but they came back. They equalized the game in the second period. And then Matthews, with that alley-oop pass from Max Domi, really, put the Leafs in a good situation. But then, I have to say, this team, their impulse control is unbelievably bad. And being able to control yourself and not take a dumb penalty like Bertuzzi did late in the third period, slashing. I know people want to slash Marchand in the face. Do it after the game is put away. But because it's at 3-2 and you take a slashing penalty is just idiotic. And
these are professionals and who understand.
They're not acting like professionals.
No, I understand that, but they're professionals. They understand the stakes. Why can they not refrain from taking these penalties, contain themselves in these moments? It's because they are human beings, and this is a bigger situation than they are prepared for. They have to get into the game, and they're not quite there yet, Mike.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I buy that. They're being paid millions of dollars because they're supposed to be prepared for this. And, in this instance, McCabe, who has been one of their better and more consistent defensemen this year, takes just a dumb cross-checking penalty on a nothing play at the side of the net that led to the power play goal.
Why did they do what? You tell me, Mike, psychologically, why did they do it? It's because of the moment. This is too much for them. That's why, man.
Well, either put your big boy pants on or go away, because
Mike, they won the game. They won the game. Yeah, Boston didn't have enough to get up 2-0. They did not have enough to get up on the Leafs. That goal was called back. That could have been an opportunity for Boston to kill that penalty. They didn't. The Leafs rose to the occasion. Jim Roberts, all the way from down under. Hey, guys. Hello from Australia. Enjoy some lunch while sharing time with you guys. Jim, welcome to the podcast. Like the content, subscribe to the channel. Mike,
are you eating a Vegemite sandwich?
Oh my God. Stop it. Men at Work, the great ones. Whatever. Let's go. Is it Colin Hay? For sure. 100%.
Yes.
Go for it. Let's go.
Colin James Hay, yes.
Okay, sure. I know you're dropping my name. Like the content, subscribe to the channel. Oak Ridge Ford sponsors the podcast. You know where to get your car. Even if you're in Australia, you can reach out to me. I will consult you. I don't want to break any ethical rules or anything like that, but I'm here to help you. OG's Conference. Remember, I was a broadcaster for 20 years. I parted ways with the company when they got rid of all the sportscasts. And then I got into car sales, which is much more lucrative, by the way. But this is my way to stay in touch with you, the people, the masses, especially when it comes to the Maple Leafs. I am absolutely loving it. Arnav, this was an unreal effort by the boys. Keep going. Go, Leafs, go. Samsonov, Domi, Bertuzzi, Austin Matthews, the greatest goal scorer of our generation, comes up with a big fucking goal. And the Leafs are going back to Toronto tied at 1. Mike, Austin Matthews love. I'm all here for it.
Well, I mean, he's obviously 3-time Rocket Richard winner and the best scorer in the league right now. And you needed a big game from your big boy, and he provided that. I mean, 3-point night, factored in on every goal. It was a great effort and a great goal I mean, you can't, if you're the Bruins, you can't second guess the decision to go with Ullmark over Swayman, because Ullmark was not responsible for that loss. I mean, when you allow a breakaway to Austin Matthews, I mean, 9 times out of 10, the goalie's not going to be able to stop it. So I think they're going to, the Bruins are going to continue their goaltender rotation, which means Swayman in Game 3 on Wednesday. But yeah, I mean, I said in my blog on Hockey Buzz, this was do or die. If they lose this game, they lose the series. You go down 2-0. I don't care if you haven't lost a home game yet. You don't have home ice advantage. So, you're down 2-0, and psychologically, I think that this team would have been not checked out, but would have been in real trouble. And had they lost, then Samsonov probably, there'd be questions about whether to go to Joseph Woll. I mean, Samsonov made some saves in the second period and the early third period.
He showed up, man.
Yeah, he did show up. He didn't have much of a chance on either one of the goals, and I mean, the thing was, the one goal, you could make a case that his bell was rung by that shot that hit him off the side of the mask. And, they had to fix the mask. And by the time it got back, the Bruins scored that goal late in the first period. I mean, I don't know there could have been concussion protocol. I've seen less for people getting yanked out of the game, but he recovered and he played really well in the second and third period.
Stephen Oliver, was that AM34's best playoff performance of his career, or simply my recency bias?
I mean, off the top of my head, I'd say probably.
For now it was. It's all about now.
For some reason, I recall a game against the Capitals back in 2017,
which meant nothing other than a little step forward.
Well, it meant something then. So yeah, right. I'm just saying in terms of points, I don't know if it's his career high in game, playoff game, but I mean, let's just say this: this was, I mean, in the moment, getting a game-winning goal and 2 assists was awful big. I mean, that they were making, and this is the reality for me watching the game here. I get the CBC broadcast on local cable, but for some reason, because of Canadian broadcast law, I think we get the game in standard def off of CBLT out of Toronto. So I have to be forced to watch the game on ESPN and listen to Sean McDonough. Ray Ferraro was the color guy, and he was really good, but Sean McDonough, as opposed to listening to Chris Cuthbert. But watching the game on CBC is like watching it through a cheesecloth. So I have to watch it on ESPN.
If there is an honorary Canadian among mid-level American U.S. centers, it's Buffalo. Like literally the most Canadian American city there is. And I don't know if that's an insult to you, Mike, why you are not encompassed in the broadcast territory in Canada. I don't know. I'm pissed off about it. I love me some fucking Buffalo, New York. You guys are American as apple pie, but you're also kind of Canadian too, which makes it really unique. So the Bruins are up 2-0 or 2-1 after the first period, and then that was it. And the Leafs tied it and then won the game. What the hell happened to them? This is the team that dominated the Leafs through 3 periods of play in the opener. Like that's some vulnerability right there that the Leafs have to be able to exploit going into Game 3 in Toronto.
Well, I think there was a level of desperation from the Leafs. I mean, if they, like I said, if they didn't win this game, I think, they had to step up the effort. And I didn't see the amount of minutes played, but I would think that Matthews probably played 22, 23 minutes. I'll look it up on the box score, but they really had to empty the tank in this one because, again, like I said, if they finished if they were down 2-0 in this series, I would not be encouraged.
So you think Boston's just toying with them, that it's no problem? Don't you think there is just an indication of a vulnerability there? Like put them away if you're so fucking good. Put them away. They just couldn't.
Well, 23 minutes and 24 seconds for Matthews. He had the most ice time of any player, not any forward, any player on the Leafs. So yeah, and he went 16 and 7 on the in the face-off circle. So yeah, he came up really big, and then but why don't I point the finger at the refs?
Don't worry. Don't get too distracted about anybody coming.
No. He did. No. Well,
you were doing a nice job there, laying out your case for why the Leafs were doing what they had to do to survive.
Yeah.
Get about Kawhi Leonard.
And I think the Bruins. I mean, let's just say this: the Bruins have no problem in terms of confidence that they can win in Toronto. They've won up until tonight. They had won, I think it was 8 games in a row, playoffs and regular season. So, and the Leafs, until the Matthews goal, had not led in a game in any one of those games. So, right. I'm sure that they're confident they can at least split in Toronto. But for Toronto, they needed to get that game because if they didn't, going down 2-0. There was no room for error in Toronto. So, I mean, it's a victory, celebrate it, but, move on. And now you have to find out whether you're going to have Nylander in Game 3 or Game 4 and what the hell was going on with that injury.
It was a response from your most important people, Mike, your goaltender and your best player. It happened tonight. Kawhi Leonard, I'll give you 2 seconds here, buddy. You know why you don't complain about the officials, Kawhi? Because if you do, you're a fucking loser. That means you've lost, and there's nothing you can do about it. The winners don't complain about the officials. Losers do. There's no reason to complain about the officials. If you put yourself in a position to complain about the officials, that means you haven't done enough to set yourself apart from your contemporaries or your adversaries. Mm-hmm. You have to make it emphatic. Complaining about the officials is good for Twitter. It's good for your buddies when you're sitting around drinking beer. But guess what? It doesn't change anything. You cannot reverse the results. Look, I played professional sports. I understand it. You probably haven't. You complaining about the officials gets you fuck all. If you're a baseball fan and you complain about bad strikes, guess what happens? You get tossed from the game. It sucks, but it's a reality. We don't spend time on the officials here, Mike. Anytime Mike does, I cut him off. It doesn't make any frigging sense. So Mike, at the end of the day, we go into Wednesday, and it's back into Toronto. Sometimes a mausoleum, sometimes a bit of a kick in the pants. Where the hell is number 16? And maybe he can do something in Game 3 to, add a new element to the challenge that Boston has to face. And that's the thing. Matthews was great. Samsonov was great, but a whole bunch of guys who are laying in wait, right? And who might be able to do something of substance to add a different dynamic to what Boston has to face. And that would be nice to see. It's interesting because Nylander hasn't been around. I mean, I don't know what's going on with him. Marner, for all of the heat that he's taken for his, lackluster playoff performances over the years, he's done shit in the first 2 games. So, I mean, it can either continue or something can go really right for the Maple Leafs, adding a different dynamic, a different look that will throw the Boston Bruins off, which would be nice because that could potentially give the Leafs the advantage in the series. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it'll be curious to see whether Nylander is available, but I almost think that there's a possibility that what they end up doing, if Nylander comes back in Game 3, that they put Nylander with Tavares and they move Marner down. And this is not a demotion in the sense of, he deserves the demotion. I think the original plan was to have a 3-line offensive attack with Nylander being on that third line to drive the third line to make the Bruins worry about 3 offensive lines. Tavares, he scored a extremely big goal in this game to tie it up. And I thought played pretty well tonight. But it
was almost random, Mike. It's not like he was seething and almost there at the 10 shots in game 1 or anything like that. It was just kind of where he was, and that's kind of Tavares' game. He's all or nothing.
I actually think he's been. In the second half, I think he's been remarkably consistent. I know people criticize him because of the $11 million. I don't want to hear that crap.
Forget the money. Forget it. They get paid what they get paid.
They can't. They won't. And that's the problem. It's like, okay.
But you and I can forget about it because we get it, man. And that's what you get. You get paid $100 million and score 10 goals and score the winner in overtime in the playoffs, and you're gone. Does that mean you've earned your money? No, but it is what it is. They get paid what they get paid. They don't make the determination on what they get paid.
But he came up big on the power play
right
after the Bertuzzi goal was waved off for the high stick, and that was big because if they didn't get that, again their special teams have been abysmal in the series so far. They did get they got the power play goal from Tavares, and they get at the end of the second period, and then they got what I think is their best penalty kill in recent weeks late in the third period after the Bertuzzi call. So so I think they need to their special teams need to be better. They came up big at points late in the game, but they need to continue that.
Mike, sorry to cut you off. Why the determination when their asses are on fire, when they sense that it's desperation time? Why not do it from the get-go? And should that not scare us going forward in that, hey, we've got it tied at 1-1. You know what? We can give away game 3. And that's the thing. Why not play with this reckless abandon from the get-go of the series?
Well, if I had that answer, I'd be coach of the Maple Leafs.
Right. It's psychological, man.
Yeah, right. Really, it's like, with the talent that this team has, it's illogical that this team has only won 1 playoff series in 8 years. So honestly, it's like, I don't think the best coach in the league can understand why this team cannot sort of concentrate and focus themselves.
Right. Real quick, where do we have Amit Tandon? I don't recognize your name. If you're new to the podcast, hit the like button on this content and subscribe to the channel, my friend. Leave comment in the the comment area on the post on YouTube when the live is done. Money is a huge deal. It handcuffed the Leafs from signing a supporting cast to help this team. I'd take that $11+ million for Marner and use it on defense. Listen, Amit, I get you, but we're fucking into game 3 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, 2024 style. Forget about it, Amit. Forget about that. What about now? What about now?
That's summer. That's summer talk.
I know. That's what I'm saying. And God bless you. Amit, come back with that in the summertime. I hope you will. But what the fuck does that have to do with now? What do you want to see this team do now? The Marner guy you want to, be pulled away from the team and open up the cap space for someone else. What do you want him to do now? That's what's really super important. What do you want now? We're thinking about now, not next season because we have a dislike for a certain player.
Well, the issue right now, looking where this team is without Nylander in the lineup, without Bobby McMahon in the lineup, now you've had a third line that really hasn't done much in Holmberg, Robertson, and Järnkrok. At this point, they really need that line sort of to be a do no harm line. Don't give up a goal.
Right.
Robertson actually had a couple chances, and the one save that Ullmark made on him, that would have been a big goal at that point. So they have had a few chances, but they're just not dynamic enough. And Robertson just is not a good fit in this series with a bigger bodied Bruins banging away.
Until he scores an overtime winner.
Well, yeah, if that happens,
nobody's expecting him to do anything, and then he just kind of shows up, and then you don't want to configure your lineup for a guy who might just end up being the series decider potentially. You want guys who are going to be there from the puck drop all the way through 60 minutes into the extra frame. I mean, down the line, Mike, he might be the guy, but not right now.
Yeah, but they really have no.
Right.
The only choice they have right now with McMahon unavailable and Nylander, who knows what's going on, is Noah Gregor, and Noah Gregor is a 0 offensively. So
Wow.
so they're opting that Robertson will score a goal at a key time and not hurt them defensively. And it's a risk. And one thing is, like, at certain points during this game, they moved Connor Dewar, who I actually thought had a pretty decent game, and they moved Kampf up a little bit and gave them an extra shift and didn't play Reeves, who actually didn't play badly tonight.
Good.
It was like you hardly noticed him at times, and that's a good thing sometimes.
But he was there. He was there. Our friend Mr. Robertson played the fewest minutes out of any forward, 7+ minutes tonight.
Right.
You know what? Nobody really looks out of place. Nobody really had done anything wrong. When your team earns the W, when it earns the L, then, all bets are off. Viets, are you an OG or a convert? When did you join this project? If you came on around 2018, 2019, we can call you an OG. Anytime after that, you've got to be a convert. But you know what? Either way, we appreciate your patronage and your support for the project. After they took the lead, they kept pushing. No hanging back, no running around like a chicken with a head cut off.
Yeah, they almost scored an insurance goal. I think it was Tavares almost scored an insurance goal right after Matthews scored. So yeah, I mean, the instinct is to sort of sit back and protect that lead, but against the Bruins, it's just not. They have a nasty habit, and I honestly until they got the puck out of the zone with 10 seconds left, I was convinced the Bruins were going to tie it just because that's what they normally do.
Right. That Canadian white trash guy, Scotty Bowman, rates you each shift who didn't do what they should have. Then I think I loved about the Canadian white trash guy. He reminds me of a hockey dude from like the late 70s, early 80s, who is ingrained in his philosophy and will always believe in that way of playing to succeed. And that's why we love you, man, because there are a lot of people who believe in a new style, and then there's the old style, and we get to playoff hockey where it's a blend of both. You better be fast, you better be swift, you better be innovative in the way you play the game. But if you're not fucking tough, if you're not smart, if you're not intelligent, you're not intuitive, then you can't win shit. It's a blend of everything, and that's what I absolutely love about the Stanley Cup playoffs. It all comes to pass, and if you cannot come through, you will win nothing. The Winnipeg Avalanche opener, 6 goals in the first period. It was a dog's breakfast, but man, these teams were going at each other, bro. And that's what I love about NHL playoff hockey, man.
Well, Canadian white trash guy is probably one of those guys who's sitting in his Barca lounger in front of his TV console and drinking Molson Verdors.
Good. And God bless them. We have all these guys who are just ginned up on stats, who believe that's how you win. Guess what? In the playoffs, you do not win like that. Mike, what else do you want to add here? We want to do a short show. Yeah. Be positive. They won. And then, kind of let things ride tomorrow, and everybody kind of get pumped up for that first game at Scotiabank Arena, Game 3, Leafs Bruins. And you know what? If the Leafs jump out to a good start, they put themselves in a nice situation to potentially take a lead in this series and get to a place where a lot of people never thought they would get to. Last word to you.
Well, if you wondered why the Leafs made the trade that they did at the deadline, look at the line today. Joel Edmundson played 22 minutes and 38 seconds. He played, I think this was the second most amount of minutes on defense next to Morgan Riley. Big, steady, experience.
Did you expect that? Like, is that what he was brought in for? Or are you surprised by that many minutes?
No, I mean, I was a little concerned about him being scratched a couple times late in the regular season with injuries, thinking that, is because he's had an issue of being able to stay healthy throughout his career. But he, maybe they were just conserving him and saying, this is when we need you. So if you have a bump or a bruise, we'll sit you out now. But
when he was acquired, Mike, sorry to interrupt you, and I know people hate when I do that, but I run the show and I want to make sure we're fluid here. When he was acquired, did you say to yourself, if all things considered, and if they get into the right, methodology and the right process, Joel Edmundson is my number 2 defenseman?
No, and he isn't your number 2 defenseman.
So, but based on tonight's numbers,
based on minutes, I mean, but he's playing bottom pairing with Liljegren, but they used him in penalty killing situations. Right. So he was spotted and he was used more in certain defensive zone situations.
Right.
And I just think, that's what they got him here for. They got Lyubushkin to pair with Riley because that worked, the left-right combo. And if you notice, they got Liljegren left-right with Edmundson left-right combo, Riley with Lyubushkin left-right combo, and the other one 2 lefties, but they play together for half a season. So Keefe is going with the guys who are experienced and are knowledgeable about their defensive pairings. So right now it's working. At least this game it did. Last game it didn't. We'll see what happens game 3.
Hey, Kawhi Leonard, you should go check out the Clippers combo. Okay, nobody wants you here if you're going to be a douchebag, and that's 100%. The rest of you like the content, subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate you being here. We're a few subs away from 4,000. It would mean a lot to us if you can help get us there. I do like this comment here. Amit Tandon. I would bring in Gio for Liljegren on a game, 1-game basis. I don't know about that. I don't know if I like Gio. I love him, and he's done a great, a great service to the NHL over his career. But he's slow, and I don't know if he can eat up the same kind of minutes Liljegren is. It's Liljegren's time to prove himself.
I don't think he played badly tonight. I mean, one of the reasons they got Edmundson is he's a big body who plays with Liljegren. It sort of protects him. I mean, other than getting run into the bench by Patrick Maroon in game 1.
So what? I mean, that's an aesthetic. Everybody gets pumped about that. That doesn't mean he's not a good hockey player.
Right. And he moves the puck. He's the second guy in the power play. Exactly. I like Liljegren. I'm not sure about what they're going to pay him on his next contract. Again, that's summer conversation.
Forget about it.
But right now they need him to rush the puck and they need that right-hand shot on the blue line. So I keep him in there. I mean, what your option is to put in TJ Brody and have him play the offside. And we know that basically the last 20 to 25 games of the regular season, TJ Brody playing on the right side was a liability when he had been a positive for the first 3 years of that contract. So, they can't go there.
We are a few subs away from 4,000. We should be able to get there tonight. Thank you so much for your support of the last show, like almost 10,000 views. That's amazing for us. It means a lot. Whether it's 1,000 or 10,000, we're going to keep coming back at you. Mike and I think we have a decade in us. So lots more content to come. But in the meantime, let's go on a long run here. Just real quick before we take off, the game stats, 33-29 in favor of the Maple Leafs, shots on goal. The Leafs much better on the face-off dot in game 2. They were just outclassed in the first game. This time, pretty damn good, 54.5% to 45.5% on face-offs. The Leafs scored a power play goal, Mike. Can you believe it?
No.
Let's rejoice. 1 for 3. Maybe that gets them going. Even Steven, 10 penalty minutes apiece. 44 hits for the Bruins, but 41 for the Leafs. Block shots, 18 in favor of the Bruins against 11 for the Maple Leafs. Leafs gave it away 10 times to 6 for Boston, and they took it away 9 out of 7 times to the Leafs with the advantage there. Again, the thing about this team, these teams is statistically pretty damn even. It's just that tenacious attitude that the Bruins bring every single time they take the ice, and that feeling of superiority over the Maple Leafs based on all of the outcomes over the past 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months, years, decades. it's really hard for a team to overcome. But the Leafs did a nice job in kind of stalling that momentum that the Bruins had going in the first game of the series. And we'll see what things transpire in Game 3 at Scotiabank Arena. It's not far off. Game 3 on Wednesday. The OG's conference, I know you love this very much. Mike and I will most likely do another post-game show. If not, it'll be during the off day. What's happening at hockeybuzz.com, Mr. A?
It's all playoffs.
Yeah.
All playoffs.
All playoffs. Any like comments about anything else that's going on in the Stanley Cup playoffs right now?
Well, I took immense pleasure, and you saw my mouth agape there for a second. The Islanders were leading 3-0 over Carolina, and it ended up 5-3 Hurricanes.
Right.
So the Islanders blew it. So yeah, I just enjoy that. Those great fans who booed John Tavares when he didn't do anything to them, they're getting their comeuppance. Enjoy.
Anyone who thinks that the Stanley Cup playoffs aren't different than the regular season, if you're just looking at stats, you're out of your mind. Like as soon as the puck drops on the playoffs, it's completely different. And that's what I love about it. It's crazy that we have to go through 82 games of an audition to get through to the prime time, Mike, because it's just so much different. It's so much more enjoyable. And imagine just being a casual fan of sports, tuning into the playoffs and immersing yourself in the playoffs and not having to watch the regular season. I mean, you think hockey was the greatest sport of all time. And that's what's amazing. Mitch Marner, does he get off the schneid in Game 3 and come around? Because, all of the hype and all of the drama and all of the criticism about his lackluster playoffs to this point has been pretty damn true and pretty damn it's been pretty damn accurate.
Well, I'll just say this. They need Mitch Marner to perform at a higher level for them to win this series. Yeah. Not to put the law if they lose the series on him, but for them to win, they need more than just that one line to work. So
would you say the Bruins have taken him out of the action, or is he just kind of chosen not to be a part of it?
I don't think he's chosen to be not be a part of it, but right now, whatever they're doing, they've neutralized him. He's just not a factor.
Well, you know what? For the team's sake, for his own sake, and his bank account's sake, I'd like to see him show up in Game 3, and I'd also like to see number 88 make an appearance. Because can you imagine a full-fledged, ready-to-go Marner with William Nylander back in the mix, feeling healthy and ready to go? That's going to be tough for the Bruins, right? So we'll find out in the next few hours. OG's Conference. Anyone new to the conversation, to the podcast, to the project, like the content, subscribe to the channel. We really do appreciate you here. And make sure to leave a comment below the post you see on YouTube. Let's get thousands more and let's reconvene, whether it's Wednesday night after the Leafs win Game 3 or Thursday during the off day. We can all kind of assess what's going on and then get set for a Game 4. For Mr. A, I'm Mr. J. Thanks for joining us tonight. The series is tied at 1. The Leafs are in this, baby. The Leafs Convo is out.